I just fight real fighters.
The truth is these sports-washing shady characters are paying you hundreds of millions of dollars to stop our fight from happening, and you're screwing over all your Mexican fans.
Canelo Alvarez just shut down Jake Paul on his Instagram Live, and it's clear he's not having any of it. Jake, as usual, was hyping up a fight that Canelo never even agreed to, because why would he? Canelo is busy defending world titles, not entertaining a YouTuber who treats boxing like a side hobby.
Don't pay attention in anything.
After Canelo's video went viral, everyone realized that Jake had once again pushed a fake headline, barely a month into the new year. But of course, he had to. This so-called fight was hyped up like a big Hollywood blockbuster, except it never even made it past the trailer stage.
Don't f***ing around with Canelo.
Jake Paul vs. Canelo Alvarez was supposedly set for May 3, 2025, at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, a date so perfectly timed that even the universe had to roll its eyes. Cinco de Mayo weekend, one of the most iconic dates in boxing, is usually reserved for true legends. Jake thought he was stepping into greatness, but Canelo didn't even bother to RSVP.
He says he wants to fight Canelo. I'm just saying what he... That's what he
hear you. Then why is he not fighting Canelo? I mean, it'd be a fucking 30-second payday for Canelo.
Then came Netflix, jumping into the boxing world like it had just discovered the sport. Their first major boxing event, huge money, massive marketing, and tons of exposure. But the real question was, who was actually paying for all this? Rumors swirled about a $100 million-plus offer for Canelo, but let's be real, where was that money even coming from? Netflix? A mystery billionaire? Some random Saudi investor? No one had a clue.
The reporting of the information, May 3rd, coming out yesterday, I don't think was coincidence in the sense that perhaps there was a little litmus test being done.
The whole setup felt shady, unnecessary, and about as legitimate as a Jake Paul boxing masterclass. But the biggest red flag? The weight difference. Canelo, a 168-pound super middleweight, had spent years dominating world-class fighters in his division. Meanwhile, Jake Paul, a 200 pounds cruiserweight, had built his record fighting retired MMA fighters and washed-up boxers. That's a 32 pounds gap, practically the boxing equivalent of an elephant fighting a cheetah. Two completely different worlds.
They said it was all but done, right? How did it go from all but done to a change of heart? No, putting it out there to maybe try to get to see, how the public would react to it.
Either Jake wanted Canelo to bulk up and slow down, or he hoped to convince the world this was a fair fight. Either way, it reeked of desperation. But, of course, the media circus ate it up, ESPN, The Ring, even Eddie Hearn. Everyone speculated that this fight was actually happening. Meanwhile, the only two people who truly mattered, Canelo and Jake's own promotion, MVP, stayed completely silent.
Canelo, Jake Paul's made a lot of noise, especially last week. Do you take any notice of him?
Who?
Jake Paul. Do you take any notice of him? He said
the team.
No contracts, no official announcements, just a flood of clickbait headlines that played right into Jake's hands. But then, the cracks started to show. If Jake truly believed this fight was happening, he was in serious denial. Canelo never took it seriously, not for a second. Anytime someone brought up Jake's name, he didn't just brush it off, he laughed. And not just any laugh, the kind you give when a toddler challenges you to a push-up contest.
Deal is not done until it is absolute.
Here's the reality, Canelo doesn't chase gimmicks for money. He makes over $40 million per fight facing real elite-level boxers. He doesn't need to step into the ring with a social media prankster to get paid. His name alone sells out arenas, and his fights generate millions. Meanwhile, Jake Paul needs big names just to keep himself relevant in the conversation.
I'm thinking about is why you guys asking me for that especially fight, Jake Paul. Please, guys.
And that's where the Butterbean problem comes in. Remember Butterbean? The novelty fighter everyone loved, until he faced real competition. That's Jake Paul in 2024. The moment he stopped knocking out retired UFC veterans, the illusion crumbled. He fought Tommy Fury, a boxer his own size, and lost. No hype, no mystery, just cold, hard reality. Jake Paul wasn't untouchable, he wasn't a real threat, he was just another guy using boxing for clout.
He said maybe in 2 years we can talk, but...
Because I think some people would love you for knocking him out. I think that's...
Maybe. Yeah, you're right.
Meanwhile, Canelo was busy locking in a massive 4-fight deal with Riyadh Season, securing more money, more prestige, and better competition than anything Jake Paul could ever offer. While Jake was ranting into his phone about fantasy matchups, Canelo was in serious negotiations with Terence Crawford, Charlo, Bivol, and Benavidez, real legacy fights that would define his career, not just generate clicks.
We get this tweet from Turki Al-Sheikh himself. He says, "Don't mess with the Lion. 4 fights for Canelo with Riyadh Season. The deal is done. A lion doesn't lose sleep over the opinion of a sheep. Fear the lion, not the jump.
Just 4 days before the so-called fight night, while Jake Paul's team was still busy keeping the illusion alive, Canelo Alvarez casually went live on Instagram and shut it all down. No dramatic announcement, no long statement, just 12 words that instantly erased months of hype. That was it. No fluff, no sugarcoating, just Canelo effortlessly tearing down an entire PR stunt in real time. For weeks, Jake Paul and MVP had been promoting this fight like it was a done deal. Articles were published, social media was buzzing, and Jake even posted training clips as if he was actually preparing to face one of the greatest boxers of all time. But with one simple line, Canelo sent the entire fantasy crashing down.
Even under this, you have Terence Crawford. I'm waiting on Canelo in September and going to shock the world in Riyadh season. So that tweet comes out, and immediately the thought is, holy shit, what the just happened? Because the previous offer was 3 fights for Canelo. That apparently was done for, that he was washing away and rethinking because Turkey was going to look to do other things because Canelo was supposedly going to fight Jake. Now it's 4 fights.
The funniest part? The only people who ever claimed this fight was real were Jake Paul, MVP, and a few conveniently vague sources. Back in March, rumors started swirling about supposed advanced talks between Jake and Canelo. The Ring, ESPN, and even Eddie Hearn made speculative comments, but there was never a single official confirmation. The only ones acting like it was a done deal were Jake Paul's camp.
Hey guys, don't pay attention in anything in YouTuber. I just fight real fighters. Don't f***ing around with Canelo.
And just in case anyone still thought this fight was happening, Turki Alalshik stepped in to seal the deal. Jake's biggest problem? Turki Alalshik hates crossover fights. He's never been shy about it. The moment rumors of Jake Paul versus Canelo started making the rounds, Turki wasted no time shutting them down. He retweeted a post from The Ring, which, by the way, he owns, completely dismissing the idea. And to make sure the message was loud and clear, he doubled down on February 8, 2025, just a day after Canelo embarrassed Jake on Instagram. He took a direct shot at influencer boxing, stating, "Canelo fights real fighters." No ambiguity. No wiggle room. Just a public reminder that Jake Paul was never even part of the conversation.
I'm to expose him. So we had a signed contract to fight. Here you can see Canelo's signature and my signature to the right, claiming he's not fighting YouTubers. Bullshit. Look at the poster. We were announcing Tuesday, February 11th, claiming he fights real fighters, but he's fighting Crawford, a 135-pound fighter, and running from a real fighter like David Benavidez.
And this wasn't just about Jake Paul. Turki Alalshik has been on a mission to reclaim boxing from gimmicks and YouTube stunt fights ever since he started investing in the sport. Riyadh season has been signing real fighters and putting together super fight cards that fans actually want to see. No circus acts, no manufactured hype, just legitimate, high-stakes boxing at the highest level.
You're a money-hungry squirrel chasing your next nut. The truth is these sports-washing shady characters are paying you hundreds of millions of dollars to stop our fight from happening because they couldn't fathom the fact that they can't create a bigger fight than me and you.
But the pushback against Jake Paul didn't stop there. Even TKO, the parent company of UFC and WWE, wants nothing to do with him. For years, Jake has flip-flopped between attacking Dana White and trying to secure a UFC deal. He's trashed fighter pay, challenged UFC stars, and even called himself the savior of combat sports. But despite all his noise, the industry's biggest players aren't buying into the act.
To get a guy like Tyson and
to try to get some credibility back.
When he fought somebody that was actually his age and was actually a boxer and was actually his size, he lost.
But behind the scenes, Jake Paul isn't even on their radar. In January 2025, while Jake was busy hyping up the biggest fights, TKO executives were in Riyadh, meeting with Turki Alalshik, Dana White, and WWE President Nick Khan. The message was clear: Jake Paul wasn't in the room because he wasn't wanted.
A potential showdown in May, Cinco de Mayo weekend. At the same time as all of this, there is great interest from Turki Alalshik and Riyadh season to put on a Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford fight. So these two conversations are happening somewhat in parallel.
The UFC and WWE have a strong partnership with Riyadh season. They're expanding globally, signing major deals, and working with the real power players in combat sports. And Jake? His entire brand was built on attacking Dana White and the UFC. But now that boxing's biggest events are shifting toward Saudi Arabia, he's realizing that his usual stunts don't work on the people who actually make the decisions.
Is a two-faced, lying, fucking nut job. You know? And yeah, me and Oscar are never going to be cool.
And that's the harsh truth. Jake Paul doesn't fit into the future of boxing. The gimmicks are fading, the sport is evolving, and real boxing is making a comeback. If you want to stay updated with the latest in boxing, hit subscribe and check back here regularly.